So if you guys have questions for Alex and Jenna, pop up there, guys. We're going to get it kicked off. I want to make sure we get as many questions in.
Actually,
right over here, my dear.
You two should sit there, shouldn't we? And I should sit here with you. I think that's...
It's the suit. It's just too much.
Yeah,
I understand.
it's like we're the girls and he's the boy.
All right, we're going to start over here with the young lady with the red bow.
Hi. So I was just wondering if it was weird when you saw people cosplaying as you or figurines of you, and if that felt weird.
I love it. I think it's amazing. You see so many inventive ones, and my favourite is when I see the Oswins with wearing an actual egg whisk.
Yeah, and I love seeing people finding a wig that sort of matches my curly hair. It's wonderful. The best is when you get men who cosplay as the song. Do you have that? I've never had that. I've had some fabulous. It's full on. It's great.
I just have a second question. So I was wondering, Jenna, how you felt when, like how Claire was in the show, because I personally really liked her a lot, and how you felt about how things ended.
Oh, I thought, I always remember that Stephen always said to me, however it ends, what I do know is that she will never ever go back to Earth, because it feels like after you've travelled and explored so much, then to go back to what would have been her own life was never enough. So I know he always wanted to send her to another planet. But I mean, I've got my own TARDIS. Couldn't be happier.
That's a great one. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Capaldi.
The American version of Blind Date, the Canadian version of Blind Date.
You mean I have to choose between?
It's like 3 questions.
Yeah, and all that.
Yeah, there we go.
Doctor number 12. When you're on a date, what do you look for in a woman?
Longevity.
All right, we're going to jump right over here to the young lady, the microphone, or young fella. I can't tell. I can't see anything. Hey, I can't see your face, so don't take it the wrong way.
You're not only a boy, you're my husband.
Hi. You might not remember me from earlier. I got all your signatures.
I remember you from the hat.
So I had a question. I asked this to Karen Gillan when she came to Ottawa ComicCon last year. What are all your favorite Doctor Who monsters?
Boy, this is awkward, isn't it? Well, obviously these guys have a very special place in my heart. I think they're wonderful. But just to add variety to the answer, I would say years and years ago, in the black and white early days of Doctor Who, there was a great story called The Web Planet, where they had the Web Planet fans on there. All of you remember the Menoptera? The Zarbi? Well, let's hear it for the Zarbi. Come on. I thought you were supposed to be Doctor Who fans. Hardcore. The Web Planet. The Zarbi. They're my favorites.
When I was young, and watching Doctor Who as a little one, my favourites were the Cybermen. I found them terrifying. But now, I kind of get the heebie-jeebies with the, what are they called?
That's
Who are they again? Something. Oh no, what was it? Those long fingers.
It's me too. Silence is me too. It's scary. There's a confidence in they're going to get you anyway, so they don't need to run, which I really don't like.
Wonderful. We're going to jump on to this side.
What was your favorite Dalek scene in Doctor Who?
This one feels very familiar to me. So I think maybe the one where I was there. Episode 1.
My favourite was where I killed a Dalek. Yes. Don't you nod your head. Yes.
I liked when Jenna and I were shrunk to a very tiny size and injected into a Dalek. And we had to have an adventure inside a Dalek. That was fun.
I just heard Rusty being yelled over there.
Rusty the Dalek. Excellent.
Awesome. Go ahead over here.
Hi, I'm Catherine. And I'm Ashley. So we're both just at this Clara, and please don't be politically correct to try to answer this question. But we were wondering if you had a favorite member from the cast or a friend from Doctor Who.
Shaz. A favourite friend.
Favorite cast member or friend?
Yeah.
Favorite cast member or friend? I think you're asking Jenna. Who are your questions directed to?
All three.
Okay. Who are all your favorite people that you've worked with on the show? This won't be awkward at all. Who's someone that's not here that you've really enjoyed working with? Let's go about it that way. And then there's no overlap, so we don't have to worry about it.
Well, you know, my brother-in-law used to do props on the show. He's called Liam Collins. He's terrific.
You said Dan Starkey, didn't you, who plays Strax? I enjoyed... Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I did enjoy... my God. I liked everybody. That's the thing. You know, obviously all of the doctors, because they're all the same person. But then I've got to give a shout out to my mum and dad. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, after all.
Jenna.
They're over here.
Oh, I've answered. Straps. I'm being politically correct.
Go ahead over here.
I've got two questions. First, this one's for Jenna. Do you have any good... I'm going to be an actress when I grow up, and you inspired me, so I'm wondering if you could give me some advice.
Wow. Thank you. First, my best advice, I think, is I just used to read lots and lots of books and stories and go to the theatre and watch things, and also it's amazing what you can do now, even with your iPhone. You can pick up a camera and just keep on trying to make stories as much as you can. That would be my advice.
Thank you. And now, this is a question for all of you. I'm wondering, what would be your most emotional filming scene in your episode? And Peter Capaldi, please don't spoil us with anything future happening. Or that happened in the past.
Favorite, most emotional scene? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, my most emotional scenes have been these two times. And they're both incredible.
So after we finished the day in Clara's TARDIS, we wanted to pick up one shot of the door opening, which was the door into the TARDIS. So Peter came in his own clothes just to be there for Island and played the guitar music. And I think there was one of those moments where I wasn't supposed to be emotional, so that was quite hard. But that was the most difficult thing for me, I think.
Yeah, and certainly for me, it's with the 3 doctors that I've worked with or seen work with so far.
Spoilers.
So having to say goodbye to David Tennant's doctor, and again having to say goodbye or to be told piss off by Matt's doctor. They told me goodbye. And then similarly with Peter, not knowing that there was, in the Christmas special that we did, knowing that there was something out there, something going to happen, but I already knew what that was because I'd done it already with David, but so to try and hold the emotion in, that was really tough, that scene, because I had to hold it in and you had to hold it in, and it was both, we were a mess.
And one last part for Clara. What was it like dying?
Well, what I didn't realise, which death are we talking about first of all? Because it was one of Stephen's favourite things to do, I think, that and having the upside down. But what I didn't realise is when you read in the script, a raven flies at Clara, is that an actual raven that's going to come on set and they're going to let it loose to fly at you. So that was quite scary, but then I kept forgetting to die because I was so pleased that the raven hadn't actually hit me. And so proud of myself that I'd managed to stand still while it literally flew across the room, so I kept forgetting to die. But yeah, it was quite scary actually.
All right. Thank you for that one. We're going to jump over here.
Okay, so first of all, it's great to meet you all. It's so amazing. So,
You're Mr. Old School, aren't you? You're Tom Baker.
so for Peter, who is your favorite doctor and companion? They do not have to be the same doctor and companion, like. It doesn't have to be Tom Baker and Sarah Jane because, well, it's your choice.
We won't be offended.
I love all the doctors. They're all amazing, so I can't pick one to say particularly.
Excluding you.
Excluding you. I think I'm okay. My favourite companion is K9. Now there's an actress.
For Alex, got my question. Oh yeah. How is it like working with David Tennant? Because I'm going to meet him in July at Montreal ComicCon.
This will all be passed on.
This will all be passed on. Well, David likes to play cards. So when I like to play cards too, but when he's not filming, or at least this was on Doctor Who, when they were setting up a new shot or moving lights or moving camera, he would sit down and there would always be a game of cards going on. So that's a little known secret you can ask him about in Montreal. And we also used to do this fabulous game with David and with Catherine Tate, where we were on set, and quite often, again, you're doing a scene and then you have to, stop, and then they have to retake the scene, but you can't go and sit down, so you're sort of slightly hanging around while things are rejiggled around. And so we would play this game where somebody says the name of a band or a singer, and the next person has to say the name of the band or singer and begin with the last letter of the name before. Do you know that game?
Oh, yeah, where it ends
So that's what we would do that, and they were obsessed with it. And you had to do it really fast. And if you didn't keep up, then you kind of basically, you were out, or you were the sort of the loser. And so there was always a lot of pressure, and sometimes we'd be more obsessed with that game than actually doing the scene. So those are two little secrets that you can pose to David.
Okay, and finally for Jenna, what is your favorite fan creation that you've seen ever?
Oh, that is a really good question. I got something to post the other day, which was because they'd seen a picture of me filming, and thought my neck might look cold, so I got a knitted neck warmer. I did get something from, it was an amazing, like, carved leaf out of wood for Clara's leaf that got her parents together. Which I have to say, the director did pose the question that it's not very realistic, perhaps we should change it to a plastic bag. Do you remember that?
So I lost this.
Luckily that never happened, but you get some amazing things from fans.
Thank you so much. It was so amazing to see you here at ComicCon.
Thanks.
First of all, sorry Peter, but Matt Smith.
Be sorry about Matt. Oh, Matt's lovely.
And I have my first question for Alex.
Well, you would, because you're my husband as well.
So I went to the John Harriman Q&A, and he thought that you guys might want to do a mashup where it's just you two in a series. Is that possible of happening?
Yes. And it was called Dr. Blue.
I have one last question for all of you guys. I know no spoilers, but is the 13th Doctor have a possibility of being a girl?
Well, I mentioned that I have many wives.
Yes, of course there's a possibility there's a girl. Or even a woman.
And for Jenna Coleman, how much time in advance did you know that you were going to be technically leaving the show when you died? Well, technically died.
Frozen in time.
Yes.
Probably about a year, a long time. Me and Peter both knew a long time before, and then it was a case of working out the best way to tell that story.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jumping on the board.
Okay, hi guys.
Hello.
I'm Alex, and I come all the way from Kingston. And,
It's an hour and a half drive.
and I have two questions. One question comes from Regiopolis, Notre Dame, Canada. Canada is this English. I'm speaking of English high school. So this first question is, and this is for all of you, if crossover between Doctor Who and any other show would be possible, what would you choose?
Torchwood.
Besides Torchwood most.
I would choose Game of Thrones. Because I think, they're so worried about the winter. And they're so worried about that wall. And those White Walkers. I mean, the Doctor is just, he could so handle those White Walkers.
Yes.
I would like, if it was a mashup, it's got to be a show. It's got to be a show, right? Yeah.
Or a movie.
Okay. I mean, I did love The Lord of the Rings. And I mean, again, I think we could really handle those orcs. Totally.
Well, I think the thing is the Doctor who can show up anywhere.
Yes.
You know, he could have summed up Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and named all those pretty easily. Alien, obviously, could be there somewhere else.
I'd like to see him with the Seven Dwarfs.
Yes. Yes. Doctor versus dwarves.
Just thinking
Some
of...
tyrants walking around.
No, I mean like the Wicked Queen, she would be the enemy.
Yes, we can. Yes. Yes. Doctor versus.
Stay here. This will be the last question.
Obviously, at least.
Looks like put everything on. Thank you.
And he will be available shortly.
I'd like to see the thick of it.
Peter versus himself.
Victoria.
Alright, all good answers. The second question that I have for you guys is that I'm just noticing water bottles now. Give you guys a bottle flip, if possible. Bottle flip challenge.
There's too much water in the bottle to be able to bottle flip right now.
What's a bottle flip?
It's where there's like this much water left, and you have to flip it so it lands upright again. Yeah.
No.
Maybe we could try that game in between scenes, though.
New card game.
Yeah.
All right, Princess Peach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is, if it was up to you and you could name the doctor whatever you wanted, what would you choose?
What do you mean name?
Like, give him his name. Choose his name.
I know his name.
What?
I whispered it in his ear. Not going to tell you.
Oh.
Well, I said before, I don't think he has a name that human beings understand. I don't think it's something that you can just translate into language. This whole idea of the Doctor being a kind of human being and being measured in those terms, I think, doesn't quite work for me. So I don't think his name is a word.
When we were filming that scene with David Tennant, who obviously is Peter as well, because it's all the same person, we were able to do many takes because they had to have close-ups, mid-shots, whatever. So the first name I whispered in his ear was Shaniqua. That's on the outtake somewhere. Did you change it up every take? Yeah.
So what else did you say?
I'm not saying.
Is one of them now the actual doctor's name?
Yes. In my universe.
It's right in the book.
Thank you.
Joe.
Do you think that one of you two will ever be back in the series with the Doctor?
Well, we're still flying around, aren't we? You've got your TARDIS. I take his TARDIS whenever I want. He doesn't know.
I think I've just broken down somewhere, just with the instruction manual still, trying to work out how to fly it.
I go back sometimes. I see Tom Baker. I see them all. You have no idea the adventures I get up to with Tom Baker.
Thank you.
Question for Jenna. Doctor Who fans can be particular about how the TARDIS works, how the Daleks, how powerful they are. Do you have royal watchers or history buffs getting particular about Victoria and are Victoria fans rowdier than Doctor Who fans?
No. Absolutely not. No, we're pretty much left to our devices that have historical advisors and things like that, but I don't receive anything like the kind of looks I used to get from Peter when I used to faff with all the buttons on the TARDIS. And I used to look up to see Peter's face, like, that's not how it works.
Davros chair underneath that.
Go ahead.
Hi. You've all delivered some really amazing lines, so I was wondering if you have personal favorites.
I just want to say I'm the doctor.
Hello, sweetie.
There's so much pressure on a line. Too many lines. I quite enjoyed calling Matt Chin Boy. Show me the stars, Chin Boy. And also got to be Running Clever Boy.
I have to just say, Stephen Moffat has this thing when he writes a script, he will obviously, the actors that he works with, he will observe their looks or their tics or something personal about them, and you suddenly find it in the script. And now I have this whole thing about the way I run, which is like, he's just decided I run funny. What can I do? I'm funny. But it's not a character thing, it's just, I run funny. But I remember we did, when there was a regeneration scene, in fact, that we never shot. When I regenerated from Matt into me, when I was saying to you, how's the gin? Is it okay? Anything but last year.
Young fellow over here, go ahead.
My question is for Alex. Out of all the doctors that you have looked at and loved, what is your favorite?
Out of all the doctors I've looked at and loved. Well, I sort of slightly answered this, or I slightly alluded to this in a previous question, because the truth is, they're all the same man, the same Time Lord. So, in a way, I can't have a favourite, because ultimately it's the same person, the same spirit inside. It's just like a snake shedding a skin, and it's a new skin. But they come in all different shapes and sizes. And River has a lot of fun with that.
Go ahead, over here.
Hi. My question is, initially for Peter, but I would like your insight on this. After delivering the inspiring anti-war speech and the latest saying in Thin Ice, why do you think the show and the Doctor's story is so appealing to young people in today's world?
Because a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world is bad. Bad. And dangerous and strange. And sometimes it falls to the creative people, or the theatrical people, to say, this is crazy. Look at this, it's crazy. This is not what it's all about. And the Doctor is a great character for that, because he sees things from the perspective of all of time and all of space, not from this tiny little slice that we live in. And he sees what's worthwhile and what's not worthwhile. He sees what's good, what's bad, what's truly good, what's truly bad. And there are a few characters who are able to do that with the eloquence that's provided by the writers we have. So that's why he does it, because it's his character, because that's what great writers do, and because we all have to keep saying, this is crazy, let's not do this.
In theory, if the next Doctor, or any other future Doctors, was suddenly played by a woman, which I actually support, who would you think would make a great actress to play the first female Doctor? And this is a question for all three of you. Just off there.
But any of these guys would be fabulous, and I'm sure there's no way we can work that. We may have done that already.
I don't want to give my cards away in case it comes true.
I always say when people ask me this, there's an actress who I adore called Frances de la Tour, who is a magnificent actress, would do anything. Someone who could bring the qualities I described in answering the last question, with also a great comic lightness of touch and a great heart. But you know, the world's full of wonderful, wonderful actresses. So it'd be a delight to see one of them given the opportunity to include that.
How about Melissa McCarthy as Sean Spicer as Dr. Who?
I think that's Davros, isn't it?
Who would you pick, Jenna?
Oh no, I'm keeping.
The doctor can't revisit faces, right? So you can revisit faces. Yeah. Well, Pompeii. Right. Awesome. Jump over here.
Hi, thanks for coming on with Ottawa. Doctor Who often tells stories that teach lessons, like how to become a better person or how to treat others better. So what's an important lesson you've learned from being on Ottawa?
Never undervaluing adventure and what that is and what that means, and having and keeping an open mind. That's what I love.
Don't drink the night before, because the next day. Sorry.
I think really I get, you know, there are many things you learn from being on the show, but one of the things that sort of astounded me when I joined it was seeing the range of creativity that was happening in the fandom. You know, I didn't realize it when you're on the outside looking in, you don't realize how the show is a trigger and a complement for so much creativity. So I guess it's sort of reminding me not to underestimate people, because you know, you can suddenly bump into someone and they're presented with this wonderful work of art that you know, and you think, wow, it's just incredible what people can do. So I guess I've learned to be more, to find more wall space in my house.
Thank you. And then jump over here.
Hello. My question is for all three of you. How much input do you get towards each of your characters' personalities?
It's a really interesting show, because what tends to happen is Stephen writes as you're filming. So it's a really funny, like you say, you can make a joke or something to him, and then, you know, a couple of months later you can find that joke that you made in the script. And so it's quite an organic thing that I think maybe it's almost like the two things are running alongside each other at the same time as rushes are coming in from the day, so suddenly the voice and it kind of just becomes what it's going to be, if that makes any sense. It kind of takes its own life, but in a way the writing on the page is all the writing and the rhythm, and picking up the Stephen Moffat script, it's all there.
It's also what's interesting about Stephen as a writer, and it's something that I think is incredibly rare, and if you are a writer and you have this particular ability, then you are really talented. But Stephen is able to create the voice for each character that he writes for, and that voice is unique. So for example, if you took away the character's name at the top of each of their speeches, you'd still know which character was speaking those lines, because they all have their unique rhythm and musicality. And that actually doesn't happen very often. Very often as actors, when you read scripts, the words are all actually the same. They have the same tone, they have the same rhythm, and it's a very, very hard thing to do, to create that unique speech pattern for each character, but Stephen does it effortlessly, actually.
And I think the input really that we provide is not about sitting around and having discussions about our ideas. It's that when we do the material, do our best with the material, Stephen and the other writers are very observant of what we do and are engaged with what we do, and often we may play things differently from the way they have been written without changing the words. And that, I think, makes them think, oh, that's the way, River's going to be, or the way that, the Doctor McCloud is going to be. So in that way, it has kind of organic growth, and it sort of becomes more like you the more you do it. Thank you for the question. That was good.
First of all, thank you so much for being here today. This is just way too much fun. This question is for Peter. Back in the day, you were in a punk rock band with the also very cool Craig Ferguson, and we've seen how great you are with the guitar on Doctor Who. Do you play music a lot outside of the show, and are you part of any kind of musical collective now?
No, I'm just part of the music collective of all guys kind of plugging electric guitars and playing along to backing tracks and are largely terrible. I mean, I sound better on the show because I kind of guitar pixie seems to appear between when I've done it on the floor and when they show it. I'm suddenly shredding like Eddie Van Halen or whatever. So I think some of the stuff there is me and some of it is somebody else. But no, I'd like to go in. I'm getting too nervous really because I'm not really a musician. I think being a musician is a different thing. I think you have a relationship with music and understanding. When I'm with people who are musicians, they just play and they just make music, don't they? They just do stuff. I can't do that. I have to. Eventually something comes on. But no, I'd love to.
What was your favourite song from your punk band?
Well, it wasn't really a punk band. It ended up being called a punk band because A, we weren't very successful. So it's just easy to say that. It was a sort of post-punk, art school, new wave band with the most terrible name ever created for a band, which was the Dream Boys. Sounds like Chippendales. But of course, we thought we were being sort of Kafkaesque and weird and kind of. This was like, of course, 30 years before there were any Chippendales or Dream Boys. So we had a song. Actually, we had a song called Outer Limits, which was based on another famous TV sci-fi show. We had a song called Outer Limits, which I liked.
Did the two of you play any instruments that you wanted to incorporate into a show, or do you?
No, I used to play the cornet and also the recorder.
I play just, folk guitar.
Let's jump over to the right side over here.
Hi, this is for Peter. Just to get it out there, do you still like bow ties?
If you were ever to find any photographs of the formerly mocked Dream Boys, you'll find that my stage gear composed of a white shirt and a bow tie. I've always liked bow ties. But trying to find someone who can teach you how to tie one in the working class Glasgow of the 70s was very difficult.
Just get one on a zipper so you just get it done.
Hello to all of you. I'm a Montrealer. I met you this afternoon and I'd like to say you challenged me to a good question. So here's the question. I hope it's up.
What is behind you? Is that a walrus? Sorry, I'm distracted by that. Yes, I challenged you.
Yes, you challenged me to a good question. So briefly, I am old enough to started as Elizabeth Corday. From ER. So my question for you and for the others, and by the way, I love you all, and this is an honor and a privilege, and I'm shaking like crazy. My question is, and you can mean this, but you don't have to because of the program, but what role stood out for you and why?
What in your so far in my career?
So, like I said, I know you from 20 years ago, and when you ended up on Doctor Who, it was like, oh, it's Alex Kingston, that's really cool. But what roles stood out for you, and why did it stand out?
I think actually, I mean, I started acting. I became an actor, or chose to be a professional actor, because I loved theatre and I loved being on stage, and I never ever in my wildest dreams imagined that I'd actually be on a television show. I thought maybe if I was lucky I might be on something called The Bill, which was like a relatively cheaply made detective or cop show. But you know, I didn't, in England, you know, it's not like sort of Hollywood or something, you know, you didn't have those sort of aspirations really. So if you were an actor, mostly it was because you wanted to be on stage and maybe one day you might end up at the Royal Shakespeare Company or something like that. So that's sort of really all I wanted to do. And then things sort of just changed, and so I never had, I suppose I never sort of expected for my career to go in the way that it had. But I have to say that alongside all of these incredible roles that I have had the fortune to be able to play, I mean, my goodness, Elizabeth Corday, River Song, these have been characters that I'm so sort of in love with because they've been so important to me. But a couple of years back, I had the chance to play Lady Macbeth. And I think for me, that was probably one of the greatest moments of my career. I could have played that forever. And she wasn't evil when I played her, she was just misunderstood. But that certainly was something that I will never forget and I will hold really close to my heart.
And Peter and Jenna, I'd be curious to hear.
Well, I've been extremely fortunate. I've been in a lot of, I've had fabulous experiences in my professional life of what these guys working with all kinds of talented people. So I think, you know, rather than saying it's, you know, I can say there's a role that I really enjoy, but it may not be a major role, it may not be something that anybody would particularly have taken notice of, but it might have been something that I had an incredible time on, or I got to see incredible people work and be around. You know, I'm so lucky to have found myself in this position to be on a set and seeing people do things that are just extraordinary. And the first film I ever did, Burt Lancaster was in it. You know, and the other day I watched a biography of him and I thought, I met this person, I was there. Oh, you know, I did a scene with him. He said, kid, you've got fabulous talent. I can't understand a word you say, but you've got fabulous talent. So I was in had a little part in Dangerous Liaisons. I watched Playing Close and John Malkovich. You know, it's sensational. You know, it's just... So for me, I can't really pick something. Obviously, you know, Doctor Who is hugely important. Malcolm Tucker, you know, changed my whole career and my whole way of acting. And I'll be eternally grateful to a man called Ian and all the people who worked on that show. And that was an amazing one. Sorry.
same as Peter, really. I guess it's you get certain moments or certain things that you see on set or certain people that you work with, certain writers, and it's kind of caught moments. It's really hard to pin something down in particular. There was actually a really small little room at the top, which felt like that was the first kind of what I felt had been like the first role of it was adapted from a novel, and it seemed to be, I think before that I hadn't worked in about a year, and then suddenly I felt like an actor again, and it was from there I've been lucky enough to keep working, but it seems to be certain caught. It's hard I think when you're working and you're in it, and then you just sometimes have these moments where you stand back and you recognise and you appreciate certain points that you kind of put into the memory bank and you know will stay there, but it's stolen moments, I guess.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I'm going to be running out here. We've got just under 5 minutes left, so I got time for a couple more questions. We're going to start with another husband.
Hi, I'm a big fan, and so I'm wondering, what was your favorite episode in Doctor Who of all time and why?
I was a really big fan of Vincent and the Doctor. I think stories like that, and in particular the Snowman as well. I think it's going back and meeting people that you can really and bringing Vincent to the future, and you can look back at the past and connecting those two things. I found very moving.
And I've watched that episode many times, and I think it's that, because we all know Vincent van Gogh, we know that he died a pauper, it's the brilliant idea that the Doctor could take him back, or take him forward in time and actually stand and see these people in this gallery just appreciating and in awe of his incredible genius talent. And there's something so moving about that. I'm absolutely in agreement with you on that one.
Episode 6 of Frontier in Space. That's a vintage for vintage lovers. There's about 8 of them here, and that's what I'm saying.
All right, and finally, Cuckoo, go ahead.
My question is, oh my god, that's my voice.
Yes, it is. Thank you for asking.
My question is, what episode of Tom Baker was your favorite? All three of you.
There was an episode that he did, I think it was him, I don't think it was John Pertwee, where the Daleks took over the London Underground. Wasn't it? Oh. Was that not? Who was that?
That was Patrick Trump. And it was the Yeti.
It was a Yeti?
Yeah.
No, it was a Yeti again. Underground. I'm sure it's a Dalek. Every time I go to the London Underground, I look down the tunnel and just to check that there's no Dalek. It's a Yeti. Okay, well you see, I was obviously very young, and all the images just sort of melded. What about the big maggot? Was that Dave? Was that Tom
It's John
Baker?
Pertwee.
Oh. All right.
I could say Day of the Doctor. I was on set in the wings with Stephen, and I got to see him and Matt improvising together, which was very fun.
All right, I'm going to end one last question over here because you had the fez on, and that's a fitting point to end.
So I have a question for Peter. I want to take you back to Tennant's time, more specifically the fires of Pompeii. How did it feel to go from being a side character to becoming like the actual Doctor?
Was I a side character? I thought the episode was Doctor Who fans are probably, I said, yes, my wife said, you've got to read the script first, be a professional actor. I said, okay. So yeah, so I did it. And David was absolutely lovely. Delightful. I was like totally kind of like fanboy there. And I said, where's the TARDIS? I mean, I knew David before. Where's the TARDIS? It's over there. He took me over and pulled back a curtain, and there was the blue box. I got quite sort of teary. I got and then I would go, and they were at lunchtime, they would all go for lunch, and I'd go into the TARDIS. Playing controls and all that stuff. I hope no one was going to spot me. With my toga on and all that stuff. Which was the cheapest toga ever made. It was just like an old cut. But that was I thought, the closest I would get to being near that control panel. And I just thought it was fun. I just thought, that's it. That's my, thank you, superpower for giving me that chance of being on the...
Karen was in that episode.
And Karen Gell was in that episode too, playing one of the...
An even more side character.
So to find myself some years later being asked to be the Doctor was just a huge surprise and just delightful, as you can imagine.